All right, everybody, we're going to get started here. We don't want to keep you too long. This is a short webinar, and we will do what we can to get everybody out by about 11:30 Mountain Time. So, like Jared said before, if you would like to chat with us, you're welcome to use the chat function and ask questions. You can do that in the questions bar. Feel free to put those up there. We'll try to answer them as we go along, or we'll answer them at the end if we need to. So just to get started, just a little introduction. Okay, so the voices you're going to hear today on the webinar. So I'm Marty Hamilton. I'm that last bullet point. I didn't put anything about myself, but I work here at DataMaster. And this is not my radio voice. I have a cold, so I'm sitting on the opposite side of the room from Jared today. So Jared Preisler is our chief appraiser here. And as you can see, he's got a lot of the qualifications that one would need to teach a class like this. Plus, he's an Eagle Scout, so you know he's trustworthy.
Thanks, Marty. I think like most Eagle Scouts, it was probably my mom that earned that Eagle Scout badge back when I was 16, 17 years old. But I do what mom says, so that's important.
I've been told that that's the way that you're supposed to do it anyway.
Yep.
Do what mom asks. Okay, so we're gonna get started today, and just wanted to put up a little picture here of DataMaster 6. So this is the newest version of our program, which we're rolling out across the country in waves. We've kind of started in the Northwest and the West Coast, and we're coming across eastwardly. We're eastwardly,
yes.
Eastbound. So I'm gonna let Jared go ahead and start talking about this a little bit.
So one of the things we wanted to talk about in this webinar, first of all, we do have some past webinars. The last one that we did about a month or so ago, we did a little bit deeper dive into some of the things that you can do in the slower times to increase your market, to increase your workflow, and also to be very effective use of time. If you want to check out that one, you can just come to our website. We've got a recording of that, but I think we had 8 different tips on how to increase business and what to do during the market turn down. So this one, the industry is changing quite a bit, and we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do to become successful as the industry seems to change or is changing. Most of you, I would believe, are experiencing a little bit of slowdown in work, and your work is shifting. You're being asked to do assignments that maybe you haven't had before. We have thousands of customers across the country, and we hear from them, and this is the sense that we're getting from those around the country. I wanted to share with you, one of the things that Marty did not mention is that I'm also a practicing appraiser. I have a fee shop and a lovely assistant that helps me, and on a daily basis I'm out in the field doing appraisal work. I do FHA, conventional, I do a lot of litigation work and a lot of private party work. I've been appraising for a little over 23 years, and so I wanted to share with you some of the things that I've been able to do that hopefully you can glean, and the idea is that you'll be able to glean some helpful information. Some of you are probably already doing some of the things that we talk about, but hopefully there's at least 1 or 2 little tips as we go along here that can help you in your business. One of the things that I did early on in my business was try to keep a real balance of my clients. I have some clients that really focus on relocation work, some that focus on purchase type work or refinancing, those that focus more on home equity lines, like some of the credit unions do, those that do high interest second mortgage type of work. And then along the way, I developed a lot of relationships with some realtors and their brokers, and with some attorneys. And I really tried to build my my business to be a balance so that I didn't experience peaks and valleys in my overall volume. Since late September, my volume has shifted though. I'm doing the same amount of work, but about 55% of my work now is non-secondary lending work. It's non-origination loan type work. It's coming from private parties, other services, review work, and my overall volume has stayed the same. I haven't experienced a downturn in volume, but my the way that the place where the work comes has shifted. And that's what I would encourage you to do during this time, is to try and balance your workload. You know, you're gonna see an opportunity to maybe get on some more AMC lists if you haven't done AMC work, or if you haven't already done that. But spend a balanced amount of your free time now, or your downtime, cultivating some of those clients that you haven't had before, and try and balance out your workload. And that will really help as you move forward and try and build that business. One of the keys that I did to create some non-lender work is presenting at real estate agent sales office meetings. And this was something that I enjoyed doing. Now, you might not enjoy doing it. If you don't enjoy being up in front of folks, just go in and talk one-on-one to them. See if there's something that those agents can help, that you might be able to help them with. I'm getting a lot of work right now from real estate agents that don't know how to price their properties. They've been on the market, they're not selling, they're not, you know, they don't want to just constantly change the price, lower the price, but they need some help on figuring out what the market's doing right now. And that's where a lot of my work has shifted. So hopefully that kind of gives you something to kind of think about, take some notes, and try and expand that out. I'm always available. If you can catch me on email, or my phone number's on the website as well, and I'd be happy to help you and give you any tips. Marty, I think we wanted to do kind of a poll as we transition to the next part here.
Yeah, so I wanted to see how familiar our audience is with Data Master, who's using it, who hasn't used it, who may have used it at some point. So we just opened up a poll. If you could all take that, we'll close it up here in about a minute and a half.
So while that poll is up and running, Marty, we were in one of our sales meeting the other day here, and there was a kind of a story that kind of came out, and this, I told this story about an experience that I recently had, which kind of sparked the topic for this particular webinar. And so I wanted to kind of repeat that story and share with you. About the beginning of December, I had a customer that called me, a potential customer, homeowner, that called me and said that they were thinking about putting their home up for sale. And they wanted to be able to do it on their own. They had bought and sold a few properties and were pretty familiar with it, but they didn't know what their property was worth. And so we scheduled an appointment, and I quoted them a fee. They enjoyed that fee. They liked the fee. We were able to go and visit with them. And while I was at the home visiting with them, I asked them a little bit about where they found me, how they came to get my name. And they said that they had searched the website for some appraiser affiliations, and looked for appraisers in the area. And one of the organizations that I'm a member of, and I won't say what it is here, but there's a lot of organizations that are across the country. They have the organization, this particular one has a find an appraiser feature on it. And so they had put in their address and found several appraisers that were close proximity to them. And then they went to each of the websites, and they told me that my website was the website that looked the most professional, answered the majority of their questions, and that's why they called me. And so I was grateful to know that my website was working, and that my affiliation with the professional organization was working as well. If you haven't done either one of those, I would suggest that you do that. Marty, I'm going to close the poll out right now.
Sure.
I think we've got everybody. Thank you very much.
And we'll display the results here so everybody can see what's been happening.
And I don't know exactly how to do that, but so.
Great, so I'm sharing the results there. So we've got about 85% are current DataMaster users, 11% are former users, and about 4% have never ever used DataMaster. So that's good to know, just so we can get a sense of who our audience is. And we appreciate all those who use DataMaster, who have used DataMaster, and hopefully those who have never used it will see some stuff that they like while we go through this. So I was in that meeting with Jared when he was talking about this. It's become called the truck story here at DataMaster. So I'm going to let him continue on with that.
Yeah. So I did the inspection, collected the fee, went back to my home office and started preparing the report. Took us a couple of days to gather everything together, and then I emailed the report to them. And as I was driving around later that afternoon of the day that I delivered the report to him in the morning, I got a phone call from this particular homeowner, and he said, "Hey, do you have a few minutes to talk?" And I said, "Well, I'm just driving, and I'd love to answer any questions." I was very familiar with the report, having just delivered it earlier that day. So he started asking me some questions, and then he said, the reason why we're really selling is that we want to buy the house just down the corner. It's on really about the same street even. It's some neighbors of theirs that bought a vacant lot next to them, started building, and now are wanting to put this additional home, or the second home, up for sale. And he said they're thinking they're going to ask a pretty high price. It was significantly more than the value of the home, what I told them that they would be able to sell their existing home for. And so he started asking me some questions about it, and he said, "Why would that be such a different home?" Well, let me describe the two homes to you real quick and then tell you what happened afterwards. So the original home was a multi-level home, about 2,100 square feet, built in the early 90s, had a 2-car garage, and was nicely finished. Total of 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, counting the bathroom in the basement. And it was nicely done, but had not been overly improved or anything. It was just kind of a nice mid-level home. The new home that they were thinking about buying was built about the same time, but it was a 4,800 square foot Rambler, and had been updated in the last year, and had a 3-car garage, was on a corner lot that was a third of an acre, instead of a quarter of an acre, so a bigger lot. It also had a really nice south-facing orientation, which meant that there was a lot of shade in the backyard for kids to play in the summer. And so it was quite a step up. And as we were talking, he couldn't understand why the market would be so different. So I actually pulled over in my truck, and I fired up my laptop, and I was sitting on the side of the road. And I said, well, let's just do a quick search on the MLS. I powered up my hotspot on my phone, I connected in, and I did a real quick search of Ramblers in this particular market. This market kind of straddles 2 cities. It's a rather big market. And we started talking about the price point and what was available at that time. And I was just sitting there on the side of the road, and I was able to do an export file real quick, and I downloaded the export file into my trusty DataMaster program, ran over to my 1004MC report, and started looking at the graphs. I quickly could see that there was an oversupply of inventory. In the first home in the neighborhood, the price point was about in the $375 range. Actually, I think it was a little bit less than that, excuse me, it was like in the 350 range. We had less than 1 month worth of inventory in that price point, and there had been a lot of activity. In the new price point, these folks had thought that they were going to get in the 550, 575 range. There was more than 4 months worth of inventory currently, and there had been not even a third of the sales of homes that were similar. And so I was able to, with some very good information, sit and visit with this homeowner about how he might approach this, the people that they wanted to buy this home for. And in the end, what ended up happening was I ended up doing another appraisal for the owners of the second home, and they became my client. Under, I was confidentially bound to them, and we were able to help them price the home. And as far as I know, they're all moving forward happily. The great part about this story is that I had all these tools right at my disposal, just right as I was sitting on the side of the road in my truck, and Data Master was a key part of that. I want to transition a little bit and just show you, if I can make this work. This is a little bit different for me. I'm going to go over, I know that, well, before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the 1004MC. A lot of you are aware that you're no longer required to include this 1004MC in your reports. Fannie Mae says that it doesn't have to be a part of the reporting. However, they have not released the appraisers from the requirement to research, analyze, and provide support for the market conclusion and reporting that in the appraisal reports. So that very last bullet point there is the key. We're still responsible for our market trending decisions. And so we've had a lot of our clients have called us and say, Data Master, what are you going to do to help us? We know that you've got great access to data. What are the tools? How should we handle this? And as we've talked to a lot of you, most of you are continuing to include this because you're very familiar with the 1004MC, and you're using the graphs that we provide as part of it, and you're just kind of continuing on in the same vein. And that's what I'm doing in my business. I actually use the 1004MC tool that we have, even if I'm doing non-lender work. So for example, the two reports that I did in December for this private party, I didn't give them the 1004MC report because that's a lender report. But what I did was I used the graphs that were in that report, similar like this. Those of you that have seen our classic product, these are graphs out of the classic product. I also included some verbiage like you're seeing here that were all generated using our dynamic templating. We have data tags within Data Master that you can build customized dynamic paragraphs that describe what's going on in the market. There's actually 98 of these data tags. And if you're a current user, a former user, never used this before, and you'd like to know more about these data tags, we would love to share that information with you. I didn't really have to do anything extra to get the paragraph like what you see up on the screen right now. All of the detailed information came directly out of Data Master. I just added some verbiage to it to make it my own. So I'm going to switch over and kind of show you how that works, and that this is one of the tools that I'm using to support my market conclusion. Let's switch now. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. I'm going to switch over and show you the market conditions report in our new product. And I apologize, this is kind of off to the left side. I'm not sure how to get it any different. You're all going to be familiar with this form. What I want to do though is direct your attention to the lower left-hand corner where the summary where you're supposed to summarize the above information. There's some verbiage already that's in that's in this report, and you'll see there's quite a bit. Data master, by default, this is a blank field because it's your responsibility to fill it in. But I'm going to show you real quick how these dynamic data tags work. Hopefully you can see me highlighting some of those. There's a little, what we call a hamburger menu. I don't know if that's the official term or the technical term for it.
We were just hungry when we made it.
We just were hungry when we made it. So I'm going to pop open that hamburger menu. And this is an example of one of the functionalities that we have. You can create different templates for different time periods. I have a general purpose summary template of this information. And if you look over on the side, it has some strange verbiage, some verbiage in brackets. And if I go in and edit that, you'll be able to see that those brackets are actual data tags. So what comes in, for example, this one that says total sales, the total sales in the 12-month period will come in. If I want to insert a value, here's those dynamic templating, those dynamic data tags: absorption rate, housing supply, median list price. And we're expanding these all the time. And so if there's some that you don't see that you would like, please let me know, even on the condo form. And so you can build a template and we can help you do it. It's very easy. And then you just save that template. And when you want to apply that particular one, you just come in and select it and hit finish. And then the verbiage down below will reflect your change. And you can do that in any of these comments boxes. You can put anything that you want in those. The first comment box about the seller concession is one that we do for you. It's all factual information. And so when I'm doing a private party, or when I'm doing, say I'm doing something for an attorney or just some market analysis, I'll use these templates to put some comments in, like what you saw on the slide. And it's very easy to do. It's powerful because it's factual data, and that really helps me out. The other thing I want to show you, for those of you that are in areas where we have our new product, we're affectionately calling it Data Master 6. And if you're not sure if you're in that area, just give us a call and we'll let you know. We have deployed it in 15 of our major markets, and we're hoping that by the end of the year it will be available for everyone. But we have added a little bit of a summary. Of course, you've got some graphs just like we had before, but there's also a summary section. And in this summary section, we have just basically parsed out the information that you put in. So for this particular example, I went in and added about 5 years worth of information from my MLS. It was very simple to do. It took me one search. I drew the neighborhood with the map tool for my MLS, and then I defined what properties I wanted, and then I selected all of those, and it was one export file out. If your MLS won't let you bring out 500 or 600 comparables at a time or listings at a time, we can append or put as much information as we can do it as often as you want, so you can get as much information in here as possible. It really doesn't matter to us. We'll just continue to append it. So what you're looking at here is a kind of a summary of the information that is in the past 12 months. We broke out sale price, list price, year built, age, and I want to show you how this changes. I use this a lot in review work as well. Maybe I'm doing a review from a product about a year ago, or they want me to do a review from last spring. I'll go and put the neighborhood description in, the neighborhood boundaries that were in the report I'm reviewing, and then I can come in and just at the lower left, you'll see there's an effective date. I'll just put the effective date of the report that I'm reviewing in there, and as I do that, all of the data will change. You'll see that all of the information will change, including those dynamic templating. So if I went back now to the report side, all of the information is now updated with that new effective date. And we're getting close on time, so I'm just going to show you a little bit more about how this works. I can see over on the far right side these donut graphs. Those tell me the transaction term type. So FHA is the pinkish color, conventional is the light blue, cash is the dark blue. And you'll notice also right in the center, the average price per square foot is $176. As I change this, I'll go back one more year. You can kind of see how that information changes based on the new. So in 2017, it was $158. If I come back to today for the current analysis, it is $193 per square foot. We're getting more conventional, less FHA. So this is a great tool, a lot of information here for you, and the graphs change and match up with whatever the effective date is, as well as all of the dynamic templating. Marty, was there anything else that we had talked about that I didn't touch on? I think review work, this is an awesome tool. If you're sitting on the side of the road and you need to get a really quick grasp on a market, you can use this on the side of the road. But
just make sure you pull over first.
Yeah, don't do it while you're driving, or you'll be in a lot of trouble.
No, I think that's what we talked about. We do have a couple questions here that I want to bounce off you and let you answer for us. So this is an interesting question from Lawrence. He asked, why do you think we've had the current market change in appraisal volume across the board? And what are the major contributing factors in your opinion?
So I appreciate that question. I think it's coming from two different areas, maybe three. We are seeing a shift in a lot of what I would call short form type appraisal work, bifurcated work. I am very familiar with and have a couple of clients that I do a hybrid appraisal type work. There's not a lot of appraisers that are signed up to do those or familiar with them, but there's a lot of volume. One client that I have did 20,000 loans using them last year alone, is what they said. Well, that's all work that didn't come anywhere else. It's not the same. I make about the same amount per hour as I do on a full 1004, but it comes in a very different form. The other thing, I think that the market volume has slowed down, and so with interest rates going up, we're not seeing as much purchase work. We're also not seeing as much refinance because a lot of folks have refinanced below what the current interest rate level is. And then about 15% of that work is kind of gone because of the Fannie Mae appraisal waivers. When we were at Val Expo in the fall, they said that they've kind of played around with their appraisal waiver percentages, and they can offer about 15% of a waiver and still get enough information to feed their data set to be able to have good information coming in, and so a good chunk of the work has gone away that direction. I think that there's probably some other reasons that I'm not aware of. Maybe we're starting to see some refinance streamlines. I know recently I've had quite a bit of work in mortgage insurance release work, and those can be directed by the client, by the servicer, the lender, or the homeowner. And so that's another place to pick up some work. So great question. Hopefully that helps you with my perspective of it. I think a lot of our volume is just shifting to different work and to different places, and we got to figure out how to chase it and get it back.
Okay, and one more question, because it's 11:31, so we want to wrap this up pretty quick. So Jason Williams asks, is there any concern about AI appraisals and the lack of needing field appraisals?
By AI, I think he's referring to artificial intelligence, is what that kind of sounds like. Is that what you would think, Marty?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I hope that that's, so I know that in my perspective, and I have been lucky to be involved in some of the beta testing for some of these hybrid type of reports, and been able to see some of the shortfalls and give my view and my perspective of them. I think that in the future, and I was able to, I had the pleasure of presenting at Val Expo. And one of the things that I said at Val Expo is that if an appraiser expects their volume of work to come from the same place it is right now, in 5 years from now, or even 2 years from now, you're going to be sorely mistaken. Your work is shifting, and where it's coming from is shifting. There are a lot of tools out there, technology that's being developed that I think will replace the appraiser's primary role. Appraisers need to be analysts. We do our very best work when we're digesting and analyzing the information and the data. There's a lot of great technology out there that can put in front of the appraiser from their desk as much or more information than going and visiting the house. And Fannie Mae is concerned with inspection bias, is what they're calling it, where the appraiser was being influenced by the person that was showing them through the home or through the property, the subject property. And they have voiced that concern to many industry leaders, and one of the reasons why they're trying to get away from, or why they're exploring different ways to do an appraisal where the inspection is done by one party and or tool or technology, and the analysis is done by the appraiser, independent or in an unbiased situation. So hopefully that kind of, my opinion is that it's not going away, and that we will we'll see more and more of it. And if you need some help on how to do that and use Data Master to help facilitate that work much faster and make you more profitable, we'd be happy to show you how to do that.
Yeah, well, thanks, Jared. The last thing that before we head out, I want to go over is we have a referral program, and you can get to it on our website. It's datamasterusa.com/referral-program. And for everyone who signs up while you're using your referral program, you get a month free of Data Master. So that's a great deal. And it looks like Jared just threw up another poll. What percentage of your work comes from non-origination sources? Sorry, I wrote that and I forgot how I worded it. But thanks for going over that, everybody. And Jared, thank you.
It looks like we're getting quite a few replying to that. We'll give the results here in a second as we start to sign off. This will be available. We have recorded it and we posted it. We'll also take a look at your questions, and a lot of times we use those questions for future webinars, and we appreciate those. And always feel free to contact us directly. Thank you, and have a super great day and a good weekend. Right. And be safe.
Yeah, thanks, Jared, and thanks all of you for coming.
So those of you that are still with us, we'll give you the result of that, of the poll. There's about 25% of you that, 38%, I don't see the poll questions.
Okay, so 42% of you do zero non-origination work. 38% do about 25% of your work comes from non-origination. 13% of you do about 50%, 5% 75, and 2%, 100% of your work comes from non-origination.
So go ahead and try and balance that out by finding work from places that can help balance your business.
Yeah, and we shared that link about the previous webinar that we've done, the 8 things you can do during a slowdown to get more business. So check out that link and have a great day.